What is up, everyone? It's me again, Gamerlush, with an episode of Final Fantasy, my first 15 with the Thaumaturge. This, of course, being my favorite class so far, unless the Arcanist does something really crazy to catch my eye. I probably will be maining this next to the Conjurer. But as always, guys, I won't be forgetting this time, not like the last ones. Oh, no. Guys, raise your glasses. You know what time it is. Cheers. Alright. Thaumaturge, the master of the mystical arts, the wizard, the spell slinger. Everyone wishes he can be him, except for since those goddamn Harry Potter books came out. Mastering the elements of ice, fire, and lightning. All staples of all fantasy, most fantasy, adventure, time games, stories, what have you. Going in this bare minimalist of stand aside and watch as I conjure the elements from above to rain most destructive terror on you. But don't get near me because I crumple like paper. Of course, the stats that the Thaumaturge will most be investing in is to intelligence and attack power, not so much piety, because if the good Thaumaturge knows how to play the class, they would never, ever run out of magic. Ooh, bless me, guys. Sorry about that. I had a little sneeze there. Probably talking about all that power. Alright, let's go off with the initial. Of course, this one I leveled this one up to 30. First, of course, initial class, like the Disciplines of War, you get your first initial ability that does 150% magic damage potency. But, like the Conjurer, it puts heavy effects, basically slowing them down. This is Blizzard. Blizzard, you would think, yeah, that makes sense. It freezes them, making them slower. Not on top of that, it puts a buff on the Thaumaturge called Amber Ice. And it has a duration of 10 seconds. What Amber Ice does is increase magic point regeneration dramatically, but reduces the damage of fire spells in any spells in the fire class. It reduces their damage ridiculously so. So casting ice, and then immediately once you cast a blizzard, you have Umber Ice. Once in the Umber Ice state, you will regenerate mana so fast. But if you cast a fire spell while in the effects of Umber Ice, that fire spell will not hit as much, and will actually take off the Umber Ice and put you in normal state. You have to cast. Let's move on before I get into that. Your next one, your second ability at level 2, is Fire. So now you have another damaging effect. This also hits a potency of 150, but once you cast Fire, it gets you into Astral Fire. Astral Fire increases the damage of fire spells about 20% or so, but reduces your MP regeneration to 0. You will not gain any MP back while in Astral Fire state, and reduces the damage of ice spells that you cast. So if you're in Astral Fire and you cast Blizzard, Blizzard will be reduced, and Blizzard will put you into a normal state. Normal state, Umber Ice, Astral Fire. So you go back and forth in steps, because later on you can actually stack them to Astral Fire 1, Astral Fire 2, Astral Fire 3. Umber Ice 1, Umber Ice 2, Umber Ice 2, 3. Now, if you're in Umber Ice 3 and you cast a fire spell, it will knock you all the way to a normal state. It will not climb back down. It will just automatically knock you down to a normal state. If you're in Astral Fire 3, you cast an ice spell, it will knock you back to a normal state. Now, okay, this is a thing that you have to keep an eye on. So you're just not spamming one skill. You have to keep an eye on your magic. You need to keep an eye on what state you're in. This is a cool thing for a caster class, because most caster classes are just standing out in the back and keep tossing fireball out, and they're not having to worry. They have to manage their MP for a little bit, but not so much the fact that after 4 fire spells, you're basically out of MP. So you need to switch stances, get back in ice, cast a couple of ice spells, and get your MP back so you can go back into the fire state and cast and increase your damage effect. Here we go. State 4, Transpost. This will switch the stances for you automatically, but you have to cast the spell, thus giving those few seconds where you need to cast the spell. It's an instant cast spell. So, I want to start the fight off with Blizzard. I put on Blizzard on, it takes some MP away from me, so of course that natural fast MP regeneration will come back and fill me back up, slowing the target down. Transpost, now I'm in the fire state. So instead of having to go through that normal state and for that first initial cast and then casting it again to get an Astral Fire, I hit it so I go from Umber Ice to Astral Fire instantly. So let's say I give that buff to where my fire spells will do the additional damage, but of course has no mana regen. So it's cool. It's basically a nice cool little stance that a Thaumaturge has to master so they can never run out of mana but can still optimize their DPS. What is a good way to stance? Should I do Blizzard, initiate Blizzard to get an Umber Ice, then hit Transpost into Fire so I can start nuking them as fast as I can, wait for Transpost to get back down, go automatically back to Umber Ice so I can get that mana regen, wait a little bit, hit Transpost again and go back into Fire. So you see you gotta get that balance in there. It's really cool. I'm really glad that they put that in for Thaumaturge. They were thinking on that, keeping the ball to make it where the class is not just standing there and just spamming one skill for optimal damage. They need to stance so they can keep the optimal amount of keeping MP, because a Thaumaturge without MP is practically useless. Okay, with that said, going into 6, you get Thunder. Thunder is not a straight hit spell, as our initial dot damage skill. This is our first skill that we actually can share with the Conjurer. No other class, only the Conjurer and probably the Arcanist when it comes out. Potency of 30 when it initially hits, has a duration of 12, has a potency of 40. So this is probably one of the stronger dot damaging abilities out there so far, because a lot of them either hit for 20 potency or 30 potency. This also has a 5% chance for each tick. It will I'm sorry, it will either cast again or it will refresh itself with no mana cost, or you can either Thunder 1, 2, and 3 are separate spells that you can cast. So you can have all 3 Thunder spells on one mob. So Thunder 2 does not cancel out Thunder 1, so it's not like once you get Thunder 2 you're not going to be casting Thunder 1 anymore. You can still cast, so you can have 3 dots of Thunder on one class at one time. But basically how this additional effect basically has is where you can keep chaining this spell up to where you can only have to cast one of them to have all 3 up on them at one time. And so it's crazy. So you have this initial 3 dot system on them at all times, so it kind of compensates for how Disciplines of War can auto attack in between abilities, to where your Thunder will be hitting them in between your casting time, so you still have that constant damage on top of them. These are in later levels, of course, so you know. Okay, moving on to Surecast, of course, next spell without interruption. If you get hit, you can be interrupted. So if a mob comes up and hits you while you're casting, you can interrupt the spell, so basically disrupting the spell that you're casting in the first place. You have to hit the button again to cast it. But with Surecast, basically, once you're getting hit, you don't have to worry about it interrupting. This lasts for 10 seconds. So basically, once, let's say the tank loses aggro, or the healer hits too much, or you're pulling too much aggro because you weren't watching your DPS, a monster starts wailing on you. I would stop casting at that time, but if you're insisting, you can hit Surecast and keep casting without making your spells being interrupted. This is level 8. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. Speaking of, I need to clear my throat. Woo! Alright, level 10. First crowd control. Puts the target to sleep for 30 seconds. Only breakable on hits. Does not heal. played a mage in World of Warcraft, it doesn't heal. Thank God. DPS, if shit hits the fan, you got multiple targets, they're going crazy, you got one going at the Conjurer, sheep them. Like I said in my previous videos, you could sleep as many targets as you want. There's no limit. 30-second time. Now this will be overpowered in PvP once if they do not balance this, and I'm hearing they probably have different PvP armor, which will probably reduce this or whatever, and different skill sets for PvP battles. We'll be seeing that in Phase 4. But as it is the bar none best crowd control ability in the game for any class whatsoever. You keep casting, there's no cooldown. It does have a 2.5, well, there is a cooldown of 2.5 seconds, but not like a long cooldown. So once you're done casting it, you can cast it again. It's really cool. This, okay, Sure Cast is usable for every other class, so Conjurer it'd be cool for Conjurers to pick this up, so they're getting hit, they want to keep casting heals or whatever on themselves. Thunder can be shared with the Conjurer, so it has Arrow and Thunder, so it has 2 dots they can use. And likewise with the Thaumaturge, you can pick up Arrow, so it has 2 dots. So essentially 4 dots, which is max level. Okay, moving on. You get your first AoE at level 12. It's called Blizzard 2. I know, right? It is cast at your feet. It is broken off from you. 360. Cool little animation. All these jagged ice spikes come out from the ground. Doesn't hit as much as your initial Blizzard because there's an AoE effect on it. It hits. Basically, it's only a potency of 100, but it's an AoE effect, and it roots people for 4 seconds. So basically, anyone around you will be rooted. So if you're trying to get mobs off the Conjurer will run, and you can run in front of the Conjurer, hit the Blizzard 2, root everyone for 4 seconds. That 4 seconds, it gives the Conjurer the time to break off from the mob, and they get the tank to come in and pick up the mobs that are aggroed. And then it gives the time for the Thaumaturge to run out because he's in the middle of that shit. So yeah, he's gonna be in trouble once he hits, because they're gonna look like, son of a bitch, I can't move, and you're the closest thing I can hit. This would be a lot better for soloing if it was an instant. It's kind of like a Frost Nova from World of Warcraft, but it has a cast time. They kind of should make that instant, but put a cooldown on it, because it seems it. But it's really cool because it basically gives you an AoE that you can cast infinitely, so it's more like Arcane Blast. Because seeing how it gives you Umbra Ice and it gives you that crazy ass mana regen, you can basically just keep casting Blizzard until the cows come home. Blizzard 2 until the cows come home. So you basically have an infinite AoE ability for Thaumaturge. They might change that with Phase 4, guys. Like I said, with all these videos, there could be drastic changes in Phase 4. So if that's so, all these are videos are null and void. If not, these videos are still relevant. And moving on, you get your skills. You have to talk to the Taru clan. We're talking about, and I noticed with a lot of these stories, these class stories, there's either like a main rival or a part of the guild that has to prove themselves, or there's this really epic legendary warrior within that same guild. It's kind of like those anime tropes that you would see in a lot of stories that, you know, it incentivizes your class quest. It's kind of crazy. It's cool, you know, if you guys are into anime. I'm really into anime, but it really, it kind of moves the story along, gives your class more of a feeling to it, makes it feel like it's just not like, oh, you're this, no big deal. Yeah, he's that, and blah blah blah. But you know, much more emphasis on your class, makes you feel a little bit more important. Alright, so you get Scatch or Satch or whatever. It's SCATHE or whatever. Like I said, my grammar's terrible. Sorry, guys. It's a neutral spell. Doesn't have ice or fire, wind, thunder, or nothing like that. It's just basically a ranged attack. It's basically like a physical ranged attack, kind of, but it's magical damage. It only has a potency of 100, and it can it's an instant cast, but with a 2.5 recast time. So it can be spammed as long as you keep on the move with it. But it still has that cooldown time. Okay, moving on. You have Fire 2. This is a ranged one. This is kind of like it's kind of like Blizzard 2, but you can target a character and it doesn't AoE on that target, as opposed to 100. It doesn't have any other effects besides being a ranged AoE, but of course it puts you in Astral Fire or what have you. So basically, you got a group of people. You see the tank full of a bunch of guys. I guess you can't spam it, of course, because Astral Fire reduces your MP regeneration to 0. But you know, just you got an AoE spell. Okay, so moving on, you get Thunder. Thunder 2. It's another dot you can get. It has a potency of 50 instead of Thunder 1. It only has a potency of 30. So you have a dot of potency of 30. Now you have a dot of a potency of 50. You put that both of them on the same time. Swift Cast. Cast the spell immediately. This class used to be called Fast Cast, and this belonged to the Red Mage. With this being an addition to the Black Mage arsenal, this kind of makes me weary. They're probably not going to be putting the Red Mage in the game. Why? But as it says, it basically makes all your spells instant cast. Your one spell cast within the next 10 seconds. It's a buff basically. Has a cooldown time of 3 minutes. Makes me kind of sad. So this can be shared with every other class that casts spells. So Conjurer, we'll probably want to pick this for a quick healer or what have you. Thunder 2 can be picked up by Thunder 2 can be picked up by Conjurers as well. And then of course at 30 I did do another class quest. You get class quests every 15 intervals of 15. So you get your next one at 30. This one's basically a barrier that reduces magic damage to you by 30% of your max HP. It lasts for 20 seconds, so it's like Mana Shield. It's called Mana Ward, so it puts a bubble around you. If you have magic damage from casters or what have you, it nullifies the effects for up to 30% of your maximum HP, regardless of how much HP you have. There you have it, guys. That's basically the breakdown of all the classes. I will be talking and predicting about Arcanist. There has been a what the hell? Data mined of the Arcanist classes skills, and I'll be going over that with you guys in the next episode. But as I said, this class is pretty kind of selfish unless it's the Conjure classes, or later on once the Arcanist comes out. It's pretty much a magic DPSer, brings on the AoEs, brings on the damage magically wise, and it's a really fun class to play, and especially with the stance dancing with Umber Ice and Astral Fire. But guys, I appreciate you joining me for this episode. If you enjoy your time with me, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, questions, or what have you. And as always, cheers, and game on. Magic Missile. Conjurer, which makes sense. Its paladins are basically the premier tank. It has defensive skill and healing skills to heal himself and the party members if need be for emergency situations, but mostly just concentrating on himself and keeping aggro off the whole party. You know, their main focus stat will be vitality. Moving on, the bard's main stat will be dexterity, because basically they're taking the archer skill.